One unique appeal of Arizona is you can have a rugged wilderness adventure while standing in the middle of a busy city. Hi everyone, I'm Robin Sewell. Welcome to Arizona Highways Television. It is a beautiful day, and I can't think of a better place to be than the iconic Camelback Mountain. Steep climbs, sheer cliffs, and awesome views. And everyone has their own Camelback story. Let's start at the top. Seems everyone has their own unique way of marking the moment when they bag the summit. Beers, bacon and eggs, barbecue, breakfast. Top of the mountain and top of the morning, fellas. However, a special few don't care about the top or even the trails. A sport like rock climbing usually isn't something you can do in a big city unless it's at a climbing gym. But smack in the middle of Phoenix, Camelback is always ready to play, even on a moment's notice.
So we woke up this morning at 4:30 and then hopped in the car, went to the airport, hopped on a plane at 6:50 and came down here. Had to get de-iced a little bit first. Flew into Phoenix and we grabbed a lift and came straight here. We didn't really know where we were going, so
we had our duffel bags, we have our luggage. Suits. We're here for a conference for work, so we have our suits. So there's an app called Mountain Project that is kind of the database for all rock climbing. I just did some research on, hey, what's the the closest crag to downtown Phoenix? It was Camelback Mountain. So I didn't know what to expect just because I'd never kind of climbed this kind of rock before. It's a lot of kind of petrified mud, so it's really hard in the mud, really sedentary stuff, with rocks kind of interspersed throughout there. Some interesting holds.
Some interesting slips. Broke away.
Yeah. Oh. Because it's conglomerate rock, conglomerate does break every once in a while. So
this is one of my favorite routes I've ever done.
If you're a hiker, there is always one way to keep the challenge fresh. Get up to the top faster. Like in under 20 minutes? Like Dave? That's so fast, 19 minutes off the mountain. Now, when you're 19 minutes up the mountain, are you walking at all, or are you just hauling butt running?
I just call it kind of a run scramble. So on the sections where it's flat, you can run it. And then on the steeper technical sections, it's just a fast scramble.
Okay. All right, now what about coming down?
Coming down, you know, I've done it so many hundreds of times that I have a route that I take down, and I've kind of memorized every rock on that route. So if there's erosion that takes place and a rock's moved, I know it's, you know, I know it's been moved on my route, so it's going to change my route a little bit. But
and how long does it take you to get down?
I can get down in under 10 minutes.
In under 10 minutes. So you can go from the top of Camelback, and how many miles up is it?
1.1.
1.1, top, very steep, and you can get down in how many minutes?
Under 10.
Under 10. Okay. For many, reaching the top is a goal. But for others, hiking the mountains becomes a life changer.
Somebody my age, I'm going to be 74 in July, and if I didn't hike all the time, I don't think I would have the quality of life that I have.
For Grandma Sandy, it's never been about speed. How often do you climb it?
Well, for a while there, I was doing it every day, but then with the grandchildren and getting them back and forth to school and everything, so I'm just here about 5 days a week.
I know, but 5 days a week or every day, that's quite a bit.
The people are the favorite part. The mountain itself is just an art gallery for me. Everywhere I look, there's beauty. Look at it. Look at it yourself here.
It's
just
amazing.
gorgeous.
It is so gorgeous.
Even when you come up here in the clouds sometimes, even when you come up here in the clouds and the rain, or sometimes it looks like a muddy river coming down the thing. Any condition I've been here in, I've always felt so blessed to be able to go.
Has it gotten tougher over the years?
Well, age-wise, I don't go as fast as I used to. But no, because you know what I do, honestly? As long as I get to the top, it doesn't matter. You know, that's my thing. Hi, sweetie.
Camelback Mountain has two major trails. The one is called Echo Canyon. The other is Cholla. As a person starts up the trail, it's a very difficult trail. It's a double black diamond. As they go up, there's 3 different challenges: handrails, and big boulders. On the boulders, you're going to be on your hands scampering trying to get to the top. On the other side, the Cholla, it's more gradual, it's full sun, there isn't any shade, so it's very difficult in the summer.
It doesn't quite have the landmark status of Camelback Mountain, but right over my shoulder there is Piestewa Peak, and the length of the trail and elevation is almost identical to Camelback, but the character of the mountain is completely different.
There tend to be people who are Camelback people, and there are people who are Piestewa people, and they'll defend their mountain to the death, right? And technically they're both about the same distance, about the same elevation gain. Personally, I think Camelback's a little bit tougher because there's not an established trail all the way up. Going up Camelback, coming up through Echo Canyon, you have to do some bouldering, and you have to, hang on to some rails in different parts of the trail because you're on slick rock. Piestewa has a more established, actual footpath.
On either mountain, keep an eye out for the critters.
Rattlesnakes. We do have a lot of rattlesnakes. It's the time of the year where the rattlesnakes are starting to come out. So what we would ask is people pay attention to that. The rattlesnakes are going to want to leave you alone. Ideally, as you're heading up the trail, if you're a fast runner and you're running on our different trails, be aware that they could be crossing the trail. They're going to hear the pounding of the feet. They want to get away from you. The bees are Africanized here in our state of Arizona. So normally what a bee's going to do is they're going to give you a little bump. If you feel a bee bump into you, that's their warning. We do list on a map where the beehives are. However, bees do move. They can travel 1.5 miles for water. At our drinking fountains below us, they often come and drink. We also have some hidden little water sources, so they'll leave that area alone.
But by far the biggest trouble you're likely to run into on the mountains is a fall. The Phoenix Fire Department keeps this team trained for the mountain rescues. This determined hiker is a bit dazed after falling twice, once on the way up and again on the way down.
On your pace, okay, sir?
They're checking him out, and he is feeling strong enough to get to the bottom on his own 2 feet. But when we come back, bigger trouble and bigger challenges. You can twist an ankle climbing Camelback, or sometimes a lot worse. For this hiker, it's actually a broken ankle. But TRT is on the scene. That's Technical Rescue Team, medics from Phoenix Fire Department who train for these mountain emergencies. For this hiker, the only way down will now be up. The guy bent over the patient is David Baumgartner.
This is a double black diamond trail, as the rating system implies. It's at the entrance to this trailhead, so they do rate them. A lot of people don't realize that.
We'll get to know David better in a bit. Now, he and his team have to pack the patient into what's called a screamer suit. This is a long line rescue. They're pulling that hurt hiker up to the helicopter for a safe and quick ride down. For a lot of these TRT folks, this mountain is both work and play. Believe me, climbing to the top of Camelback is hard enough. But if you've got the right mixture of guts, gear, and guidance, Camelback has even more daring adventures. You see that little crag of rock over my shoulder? It looks a little bit like a thumb. Locals call it the Praying Monk. Well, standing at the top of the Praying Monk is a thrill few people ever get to experience.
Take this knot, go 1, 2.
This is the first time I've ever done rope climbing, and I have a fear of heights for sure.
Rope!
So there's the fear of falling because they've never taken any kind of a fall. So the fear of pain and just the uncertainty of what they're supposed to do.
That space between each anchor, you're kind of unprotected for that space.
If you're afraid of heights and you don't understand how extremely strong those ropes are,
Okay.
It's scary.
So you go up and you're attaching protection as you climb up, but you have to reach that protection. You have to climb up to it.
First, I thought it was going to be pretty simple, but then as I started looking for footholds and hand grabs and realized there were a lot fewer of them than I thought there were in the first place, it was scary.
I think there's 2 fears that we're born with: loud noises and heights.
That's David Baumgartner, that's Daniel Warren, and Tupac Enrique. All 3 are part of the Phoenix Fire Technical Rescue Team. It's their day off. but they're on the mountain to show these 4 guys the ropes of rock climbing.
Climb on.
They've never climbed sheer rock, but they have climbed past the bad choices that landed them behind bars.
I'm here with my brothers, you know, guys that I spent time in Arizona prison with.
Kenny, myself, Levi, and Todd, we've all served time in prison, and so we've all spent time together behind bars.
They're getting the basics of rappelling and belaying by going up and down the massive lump of rock that most of us see as the camel's head on Camelback. At the top, a salute to friends still behind bars. 25 burpees on the camel's head in the hope that those inmates they've left behind will keep a pledge to stay in their fitness routines and out of trouble.
Fitness originated from me going to prison, but since I got incarcerated about 5 years ago, it has been the major turning point in my life after getting clean.
I guess it originally started off as just something to do to fill the time, but then it became something that really helped me to deal with the trauma, dehumanization, the stresses and anxieties of being imprisoned.
Put all that in there, both the lanyard, TC, and the rope.
Now, with David and Daniel as guides, it's time to dare the climb up the praying monk.
You know, I was hoping to get to the top of wherever we were climbing. For me, getting there was a challenge to begin with.
You know, you'll tell them, hey, relax, let go of the rock for a minute and sit back and look around and take a deep breath.
Well, when you make it to the top, you feel that sense of elation and relief knowing that you made it. And you were scared on the way. I was.
You just know that you did that, it's surreal up there, and it's peaceful.
I had to definitely overcome some fears, and but it was wonderful. It was a beautiful experience. When you put your mind to something and you focus hard on it, and you push yourself towards a goal, you can reach that goal.
Okay, now that you've met the praying monk, have a look at the hiking nun. Seriously, we did not plan this. All right, I guess climbing to the top of Camelback really might get you closer to heaven. Tucson is another Arizona city that, like Phoenix, lets you take one step out of the urban sprawl right into the wilderness. At the northeast edge of Tucson along Sabino Creek lies Tucson's worst hidden secret. Sabino Canyon is the premier place to work out, picnic, or just take in Mother Nature at its finest.
Everyone that lives anywhere in Tucson that loves to jog or walk usually comes here early in the morning because it's 3.8 miles one way, and they might not go the whole way up the road if they're walking, but it's a nice, quiet place where people can just come and relax and do their exercise, daily exercise.
Maria Stafford with Sabino Canyon Tours takes people on tram tours of the canyon.
I love it. It's beautiful. I meet people from all over the world. I get to know a lot of the people that live here just by waving and saying hello.
Sabino is believed to have formed some 12 million years ago, and an earthquake in 1887 dislodged massive boulders lining the canyon walls, which crashed down in the valley below. There are 9 stops on the tram route where people can venture off to hike, picnic, and just play in the creeks.
It's lovely. There's so many different things to look at. I mean, with the mountains and the cactus are gorgeous. Where we're from, the flatlands of Illinois, cornfields is about all we have around us. So getting to see this and the sights, and kids are just enjoying it. It's just nice to get around. It's well maintained.
Sabino Canyon is one of those places Arizonans like to take out-of-state visitors to.
It's a culture shock. It's different. Where we left yesterday, it was 26 degrees. So being here, it's a little warm, but that's okay. That's what we came here for. It's what we were hoping for. It's warm weather, so it's lovely.
Why? because it is the perfect example that shows the desert can still be just as beautiful as a forest of pine or rolling hills or plains. Arizona has mountains and big clear blue skies. And for that, and places like Sabino Canyon, we should be proud and even grateful.
For some, hiking this mountain can be a weekly, even daily ritual and the only workout they need. But it could also be a training ground for more adventurous treks on trails around our state.
No better proof than renowned brain surgeon Dr. Robert Spetzler. For years, he's led treks from the North Rim to the South Rim of the Grand Canyon. The doctor's prescription for those who want to come along? Put in lots of time on Camelback Mountain and Piestewa Peak.
So there are a few criteria. One is they have to go up and down Squaw Peak 3 times. And when they're down the 3rd time, know that they could do another 3 as a minimum. And so when they've sort of convinced themselves that they can do it, then they're really ready to go.
The only occasional downer about a hike on Camelback, sometimes the parking here is more challenging than the hiking, especially in the winter months. But from the end of December to the end of March, there is a way to beat the parking hassles that most locals don't even know about. Climb aboard Ollie the Trolley. It stops here at the Paradise Valley City Hall and will take you to both the Echo Canyon and Cholla trailheads on Camelback Mountain. It swings by several of the swanky resorts like Sanctuary and the Mauna Lucia. So before or after your hike, you can grab a bite or a brew at one of these. But like Cinderella, there is a deadline. The trolley stops at sundown.
Nighttime at Camelback Mountain is something we do not want to hear people are hiking. We close at sunset. At sunset, a person should be off the trail. It's not that people aren't capable of hiking a double black diamond. Nearby to us right now, we have Piestewa Peak. People hike Piestewa Peak, and you don't have to be out of that park till 11 o'clock. People come down with headlamps. This park, because of different provisions as they built this area, this park, the agreement was it would close at sundown.
However, an exciting nighttime sky like this lunar eclipse will often get some hikers to look and linger a little longer than they really should on Camelback Mountain. Still to come, when we saw the name on the label of the bottle this guy popped at the top of Camelback, we knew we'd have to get to the bottom of that story. We will, just ahead.
Sure, you can sweat and struggle all the way to the top of Camelback, or you can drink it all in without ever leaving your bar stool. More than a hike, more than a landmark, Camelback has also become a brew.
Of course, it's a local brew, born right here inside the Phoenix Ale Brewery near downtown Phoenix.
You're going to see a light amber color coming out of that as you tip the glass at about a 45 degree, which is the perfect pour. You start tipping that up to get about a 1/4 of an inch head on that. You'll get a nice foamy little head on that. I think it is growing. It's our flagship beer. We named it after our one of the most prominent landmarks in the valley, Camelback Mountain. You'll smell the hops, you'll taste the hops. It's got a super clean finish.
Hi, my name is Zach Schroeder. My job here at the Phoenix Ale Brewery is the head brewer and brewmaster.
So, is there a secret ingredient?
The water. Water is the most prominent ingredient in beer anyway, and our water comes right here from the ground. So yes, at some point it does probably flow under Camelback Mountain on some level. But you know, the specifics about it, it's really high in calcium, which allows us to produce a fairly smooth beer.
It's in cans and bottles, but you might enjoy it most here at the Phoenix Ale Brewery Central Kitchen, a few miles from the brewery. Here, it's not only on tap, it's in the recipes. Chef Donnie blends the beer into things like pickled jalapeno. It's Camelback IPA, frothing and boiling, that does the job of pickling and making beer batters. The joint is true to the Camelback Mountain theme, right down to the restrooms.
IPAs are fairly hoppy beer, but in the case of the Camelback, what makes it so special to us is the fact that we balance it quite a bit, and that allows it to be a much smoother drinking product.
I have a lot of people that say, hey, I love the Camelback. As a matter of fact, last week at Strong Beer, I had somebody tell me that I was on the other side of Camelback Mountain and it doesn't even look like the logo. And I told him, dude, you're on the wrong side of the mountain. You got to be on the right side. So it does lend itself to the landmark.
You know, a lot of other beers along the same style have a tendency to be like, again, a little aggressive on your palate. So after a few of them, again, it's like eating spicy food sometimes. You're like, enough's enough. Where Camelback can go down and down and down if you're not careful.
And before we say goodbye, here's a shout out to all the men and women who work so hard to keep our trails open, safe, and so well maintained for all of us to enjoy. Whether it's our national parks, state parks, city parks, or backcountry wilderness. Thanks, everyone.